So a Denver councilwoman proposes taxing, quote, white-led businesses as reparations in order to support minority enterprises.
Yay! Pay up! Pay up!
Let's go.
Pay up!
So this is in Denver, I said, right? She's a city councilwoman. Her name is Candy.
Wait, does it count if white people don't have businesses?
No, it does not count.
Why can't they? Wouldn't it be better to tax white-owned corporations and not white-owned business? It seems like they're just gonna go after like a flower shop.
I hope that that's what they do.
Doesn't that make more sense?
Yeah.
There's too many of them.
But then, doesn't that mean all the businesses in Colorado are just gonna leave?
But shouldn't they pay up, Joe? Think about it.
You think they should?
Wait. Oh yeah, I'm a minority.
Let me give you.
They should pay. They should
Let
pay.
me give you some context, okay? Let me give you guys some context. So this councilwoman says that capitalism was built on stolen lands, stolen labors, and stolen resources. And a check today could not undo the cumulative impact of generations of that stolen wealth in all of those categories. And she's saying this as she seeks re-election, mind you. She is a person who is up for election, so
Is she white?
This is one of her platforms.
Is she white?
She is not. Her name is Sidibaka, I believe I said.
Sidibaka?
Sidibaka. Her name is Candy Sidibaka. She is.
What is that?
I don't even want to say what race she is because that could be racist.
Say, just take it your best guess.
I'll show you what she looks like. She looks, and it's so good that I'm not commenting because she looks hella Indian to me.
I think she is Indian.
Oh, like Native American?
Yeah, like an Indian.
Oh, I see.
You know. You remember
I
those?
thought it was the other kind of Indian. Like an Indian.
Yeah.
You guys remember them?
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
So she wants to go after the white gas station owner.
Yeah.
Why can't they go?
They're gonna tax their fucking flaming hot Cheetos that they sell.
Pretty much.
White big business sounds more lucrative to tax anyways.
What do you think about that though?
I don't know. I'm trying to find the Asian equivalent. Like, would it be like if
I mean, Japanese were the colonists of the rest of Asia.
yeah.
So that means I just gotta pay you guys better.
Or
Right.
do you think that
It's a start, Joe.
should every white
Good idea.
But I was born here. Does it count?
Well, Steve's white, so you don't have to pay him more, but...
Oh, please do though. That'd be so sick. That'd be so hopeful.
should every white-owned sushi restaurant have to pay Japanese sushi restaurants in the same area
That would be
a
nice.
tax for existing?
Yeah, there's a tax. There's a cultural tax. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what it is?
'Cause they'd
It's
be
like licensing.
Yeah, they'd be splitting the consumer base.
It's like cultural licensing. Because it's like, hey, we own the brand, right?
Right.
So then you have to pay.
But it's such an
So
old
where-
recipe.
That's a good
where do you
idea,
draw
actually.
the line?
Seaweed and rice?
Yeah, who the fuck owns the
That's
recipe?
true.
It's that's like saying how like Mickey Mouse is about to be in public domain because like
What?
yeah, because it's like 100 years old. So you can only do it for so long, and like it's within like 10 years, Mickey Mouse is gonna be in public domain. So Disney's shitting bricks, obviously, about it.
Yeah, change the
Peter Pan's been public domain for a while, right? So another huge cartoon just became public domain. It's
Winnie the
Batman. Batman is public domain now.
Really?
The original comic.
Batman's
right?
been around 100 years.
The original Bob Kane comic, yeah, it came out in like 1920 something.
Holy shit.
When you say public domain, you're talking about things like in terms of like copyright and stuff?
I'm saying Kinjaz could do a Batman movie now, but you have to do it through the source material. So it has to be like Batman with purple gloves,
Yeah, the original.
the OG.
Yeah.
Oh.
Detective Comics #1.
It's like how like we can choreograph to fucking really, really old school classic songs because they're all public domain and we won't
Yeah.
compensation for it.
That's why everyone uses House of the Rising Sun, because like that's a free song.
Right. Or Danny Boy.
Yep.
Oh, Danny Boy.
There are instances of reparations that happened for the Japanese American community because I think it was so recent that they were able to trace it. So it was
Because
like
of internment camps.
yeah, it was like this family lost this much
good.
wealth, so because they got interned. So then when they got out, it's like they got something back, but then it was never the equivalent of what their properties would have been worth if they were able to keep their land. Or
Not
like
to mention
whatever.
the stigma post World War II.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
how much did that impact
And the
them?
farms and the
Totally.
water.
Because I feel like the unfortunate thing about, like, if you say reparations for the black community, right? The paperwork was horrible back then. How do you trace the lineage? How do you, and then also like, is it only if you just make like a blanket one like black, right? But what about all the Africans that just came over? They're gonna qualify for it when their ancestors weren't.
They have to be
even-
foundational black.
Yeah, but how do they trace that though? That's the hard part.
I think
There's 23andMe in it. It's easy.
Yeah.
it didn't sound like they were trying to be that, I guess, specific. At least when I saw that court hearing of the dude that wanted reparations, it was like every black American that's foundational black American, and they're not. I don't think it's gonna be divided that.
I see. Dang. I mean, if they could find out a way to make it balanced, but
But do you think that the white-owned businesses should be taxed? Or should that be another thing, a separate thing?
well, I don't actually believe that all white people had it good.
Well, I also don't
And then
think.
especially people who had to work for their small business.
Yeah.
To a degree that it's like now they have to pay an additional tax because of just a foundation or some sort of line that somebody's drawing.
Yeah.
The way I see history is like there was a very, very small handful of people that owned everybody. And then it was like, yeah, maybe one group had it a little bit better, but everyone had a hard time that was shitty. And everyone was enslaved by this small group.
I think also that's overlooking the savviness of business owners. Like, let's say, like that soccer player dude is an example of like how he got a divorce and his wife was like, "I'm taking all your shit," and he's like, "Well, I don't technically own it."
Oh, because he put it in his mom's name.
Exactly. It's like when you get to a point in
sad.
business, it's not easy to get your shit, let alone tax you for shit. Like,
Oh, that's what you're saying. So like,
want to tax
even
my business? Here you go. And then what's going to be on paper
Right.
is not what you were expecting to get.
Right. There's going to be some sort of loophole.
so it's like even if the law goes through,
Yeah.
you're saying that these white-owned businesses can register in Delaware or whatever, still operate in Colorado, but technically they can't be taxed by Colorado anymore, like
Passing,
that.
that's like 5% the battle. Also,
Yeah.
you may just never get your money.
Yeah.
Whose job is it to go after the actual cash?
Yeah. I do think though, like sometimes things are they have good motivations but poor execution, and this happens a lot in government, right? So like, let's say a lot of these programs that are meant to help the poor and the needy, the money never gets to them.
Yeah.
So like, she might be doing this just cause thing, people might be voting for it, but the people that are executing it could be corrupt, could be incompetent. Because we've seen this time again in government where like, yeah, there's so much funding that goes to the poor communities in California. The homeless problem here is fucking just getting crazier, but they spend billions of dollars, but none of that money goes to actually helping them. And it just goes to these massive parties that politicians do to celebrate
because
that they got funding.
The first thing you're going to see if something like this were to go through is you're going to see commercials for lawyers that can go, "I'm going to help you get your money that is owed to you." And they're going to be making the money, not getting you the money.
Yeah.
Like, you'll just be paying them like a class action lawsuit.
Well, does this speak for everybody, right? Is everybody who's a business owner in the city, they're like, yes, I do want a tax on white-owned businesses so that they can pay me some extra cash, right? Like, of course not. So the idea of this is kind of whackety-do in that way too, where it's like,
Not everybody wants it.
You're
Yeah.
assuming that they all
Right.
want a check from these people or whatever. You're assuming they agree with your platform and they agree with what you're saying.
That's true.
Wild thing.
What's the majority demographic in that area?
It would probably take me like fucking 2
Well, it's
hours.
Colorado. Well, you said Colorado, right?
Yeah.
When I went out there, it's very liberal, but it's a lot of white people.
Also, people
Yeah.
can be liberal on the forefront as much as they want. They can say they support these things, but in the back end, when they do their business, it may not match what they say their politics are.
Yeah, like Silicon Valley and NorCal. They're just like, yeah.
72% white.
Okay.
African American 9.18%.
So good luck.
And other races.
Best of luck.
I said get those whites.
Wait, doesn't that make it easier though? If the majority of the populace out there are like probably white-owned businesses, that means that fractionally they'll probably take less of a tax to provide for less of the people.
No, but she's saying that they're not going to vote for it.
Exactly.
But Colorado is like Oregon. It's so woke that they might even vote for it for the white guilt.
Dude, white guilt
that's
is
true.
white guilt is very
True.
strong.
I don't have white guilt.
I think it's very
Why
powerful.
would we?
I have the opposite. It's called white pride.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Can I say that?
Dude, I talked to a lot of people with white guilt, and
Isn't that kind of like self-love?
they'll vote for this. They'll definitely vote for this.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I mean, clearly it's somebody, this person who's saying this is someone that's running in politics, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a demonstration of their values. They don't, I doubt they really care if they'll ever achieve this. or not.
Implement it.
Well,
Yeah.
also though, it's like this is one of those things where like if a white person was trying to put this into motion, it would maybe be like white saviorism and guilt. Whereas because
Because it's not a white person.
but because it's also like you said, it's probably a Native American person.
I said Indian.
It's one of those situations where it's like, you know, they have a certain type of precedence to like say something that you kind of got to just be like, well, she's allowed to say that. She's allowed to fight for that. You know what I mean? And it makes sense, you know?
How about like the most simplest pragmatic thing I've always thought about is everybody use their tax dollars to help the poor community. In
God forbid.
better education, better hospitals, better resources, because if you ever travel through the poor communities, they don't have the same shit that we do in the middle class and above. It's this, so it's like, and then we're all sharing the same country and we want people to do better, right? And we want the quality of lives of these other communities to do better. So I'm like, why don't we just start there? I don't know.
That's
Well,
hard,
that's
Why is that so
You're
hard?
trying to solve a problem, Joe, and I think that sometimes you need to have problems that aren't solved so that you can run on them again, and then you can run on them.
That is gay
Again,
politics.
and again,
Yeah.
and
is that one that you were always saying too, that like, I think one of the worst things is that if you choose to work, that's not enough. It's not enough to make your life better. That's what sucks.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Like if let's say I'm a super low income person and I decide I would like to work in order to not be low income, that is nothing to solve my problem because most of the jobs that I can get at an entry level do not satisfy the requirements to have an everyday life.
They priced you out of the market already.
Yeah, you're priced out.
Oh yeah. Like a lot of poor people won't be able to live this.
Yeah,
You're not buying a
living,
house,
yeah.
that's for sure.
Right.
poorer people have to spend more time taking care of other things because they can't use money to solve those issues.
Right.
Like babysitting or like anything else that you could just throw money at to have someone else worry about it. Like they don't have that luxury. So it's like now you can't work as many jobs. It's just like a different game all the way.
That's true.
Also, maybe this is like a different old school mentality, but like, does it have to be so? And I get it, the conversation is so like topical in America, but does it have to be like race driven versus like
Socioeconomic stuff.
yeah, like a tax the rich, right?
Right.
Like put the top 1% in just a different tax bracket that gets taxed more, which I know it kind of happens already. If you make more, then you get taxed in a certain type of bracket, whatever. But that would make sense, right? Because then more money comes from those that can afford it to potentially provide for those resources for the.
I've said this a couple times. One of my favorite trolling bits I never got to do was take a megaphone into basically a mobile home park and start yelling at white people about their white privilege and shit. Because exactly, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
The whole thing is like I kind
As the
of feel
tornado
like
approaches.
when we focus too much on race, what ends up happening is divide and conquer.
Right.
Working class white, working class minorities, they're out here fighting for crumbs. And also, we can't look at business owners as they're the enemies either, because we need both. We need working class to work alongside businesses. We need to work together, right? But I also feel like the elites that are both in government, in the public sector, and the private sector, they're working together. So it's more of class warfare. And you can say, let's tax the rich, but identifying who the rich is and who's on the side of the people, you can't really tell. And also billionaires, they have the resources to be offshore. So you can put as many tax laws and shit as you want.
Find the loopholes.
No,
Shell
that's why
companies.
the IRS goes after the middle class and small businesses because
they'll get it.
so much easier to extract the
They'll
funds
get
from.
it. Yeah.
You think they could come after Amazon? They're gonna be spending decades fighting them, not getting paid.
Is there any purpose in greater taxes for foreign companies using America for their business?
Well, that's supposed to be the tariffs and the and the
but-
international tax law and stuff like that.
Is there negative blowback to raising those?
I mean, there are things in place, but like you got to look at each. Because, for example, right, like one of the stuff in the 90s, the reason why Korea and Samsung and all those guys started to come up is because they felt threatened by the Japanese electronics industry and the car manufacturers. So these foreign companies, they made up all these rules like let's say BMW and all these guys, most of your cars have to be made in the States because we don't want foreign manufacturers taking away jobs, whatever. Like they blocked, I think it was Bush, they blocked all the cell phones and TVs and Sonys and everything from Japan. And that's when they got contracts from Samsung and all them to come in. That's why we don't see Japanese phones anymore. There are rules and things like that in place that governments take. During Trump's administration, he was saying like there's a huge trade deficit between us and China to the point where they're like, we're just in these shitty contracts where there's more money that's leaving the States than we're making from China.
Is there an equivalent to like, let's say when you tax California companies too much, they leave California and that's bad for California? Does that happen with other countries' businesses in America?
Great.
That happens in every industry in general, right? Like that's a huge topic on things like crypto right now, in the crypto space. You fucking regulate it, you over-regulate it too much in America. Suddenly, all the innovation goes to every other foreign country. It's the same shit back and forth.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to happen. EV tax credits for cars and stuff like that. Like you'll get a tax credit if that was manufactured in California, the batteries and everything like that. You won't get it if you purchase a cheaper version that was manufactured somewhere else.
Got it.
So it works both ways. It's just a matter of like how.
But
the pie
on
gets
the
split.
flip side, though, we do make a lot of money through tax. It's just mismanagement of funds. That's a big part of it too. If you look at how much money is being wasted by government, and have you heard of use it or lose it programs? You know, like in production and film, right? Like if you don't use that full budget, then they go next year, you don't need that much to make that film. So they spend frivolously. Like schools, all that stuff, they'll have a whole new set of computers, chairs, desks, and they're just like, let's toss it. We need to buy more or else we're going to lose this budget. Yeah. So government wastes a lot of money in tax dollars too. So it's like, you can't just look at one side and go, it's the rich people, it's the billionaires, it's this, it's the whole fucking system that everybody's milking.
Yep, 100%.
How do you regulate that?
You tax the whites.
Tax the whites.
Let's go.
Tax the whites.
Hey, we're going to need to spend about $200,000 in C-47s, okay?
That's right.
Are those the clothing
Yay.
pins?
Clothing pins.
Absolutely.